Hi, this is Joe Elliot, Program Manager for ConveyUX, the conference coming up in Seattle in January, and I'm talking with the speakers who will be presenting at the event. And right now I'm talking with Joe Elliot. Hello, Joe.
Hi, how are you doing?
All right, where are you talking to us from?
From my home, I live in a restored church in outstate Missouri. I'm about a half hour north of Kansas City, and the church is a Episcopalian church that was built in 1905, and I'm in my second floor study.
Very interesting. All right, well, tell us a little bit about where you work, what types of things you're involved in.
Sure. I'm the Director of Human Factors and Usability Testing for Missouri Western State University. Also an assistant professor there, and so I teach human factors and usability classes. And my students and I conduct all sorts of usability tests. I finished testing today for the Kansas City Public Library. They're testing a new website, a beta version of their new website. And so I was testing at four different branches today. It was a lot of fun.
So is that a typical activity for you?
Um, well, primarily for my students. I usually just teach, but most of the students are on break, winter break this week, and the library needed the testing done this week, and so I stepped in and did it for them.
Well, I don't, I get a chance to talk with people in academia every once in a while, but not as often as I like. I just interested. Maybe you could talk a little bit about the what your program is like, how it's evolved over the years. What direction you see a lot of your students taking.
Sure. We're one of two terminal master's programs in the US. The other is the one at Bentley University in Massachusetts. And both of our programs focus on usability and training people to be usability professionals. Both Bentley's program and our program do pro bono work for the community as a way of getting students involved in actual usability testing and get them some experience with developers and development teams. And then our program, and I believe Bentley's as well, although I can't really speak for them, we send our students off on internship for a year. And then they come back and complete their second year of classes, and then they're finished and go off and become professionals. This year, my students were over the summer, they were at the VA in Fairfax, Virginia, South Carolina, oh, no, University of South Carolina Medical Center. Two of them were at a software company in Kansas City. Another one was in Kansas City at a small design firm, and another one was at Honeywell for the summer.
Well, that's very interesting. It's nice to see that you have a good, healthy program in this area. Are there any new directions that the program is taking? What are some of the trends that you see going forward with the program?
Sure. Actually, I'm I'm new to Missouri Western. This is my first year there, and so I'm restructuring the program to align more closely to what people in industry tell me the new graduates need to know. So we have an executive advisory council that I meet with a couple of times a year, and they come in and lecture. And they're people from corporations and advertising agencies. And what I'm hearing from them, and then from the students when they come back from internship, is that Agile is real big, and so we're starting to teach Agile practices and implement that in how we do our projects. And then wearable technologies are big. So screens are starting to disappear. And this is a new phenomena, at least in my experience, and how students deal with usability testing and prototyping without a GUI has been a new challenge.
Well, I know you have another appointment coming up that we're pushing up against, but I just wanted to get your thoughts briefly about the topic for the conference titled Learning Practice Effects and Usability Testing Results. Maybe you could just describe a little bit about the theme of that and how you came about deciding to put this presentation together.
Okay, sure. Prior to this, I was this institution, Missouri Western. I was at the University of South Florida, the Polytechnic campus, and we did some testing on a new social networking site called Dashes. And the first time we did the testing, we didn't find anything wrong with the site. And that, I had worked at IBM, and I'd worked at the Department of Defense, and then I'd worked at a contracting lab. And I was really surprised to find that this was the perfect interface. And so we looked into the data a little bit further, and we found that our users and our user population were actually very good at working with social networking sites. So our user population at that university, they were 18 to 25-year-old students. And so we developed some additional measures based on the web acceptance model and the rational actor perspective. And these are two theories that have been in cooperative work literature for some time. And I wanted to explore if, because my user population, because they were so good at social networking sites, if this was having an effect on the usability testing results. And so we tested a lot of users. If I have a background in psychology, and in order to get a significant result in psychology for a small effect, you usually have to test about 30 or so users. And so we tested a little bit over 30 users, and I did find an effect. I did find that there was a difference, and the users split themselves into two groups. So there were people that were daily active users. These were people that used social networking sites more than once a day, and they often had 6 or more applications on their cell phones, and they accessed these applications, more than one of the applications, several times a day. And then there were weekly average users, and these were people that had an average of about 2 applications on their phone, and they rarely accessed them. And it turns out that the weekly average users, so the people that didn't access social networking sites very often, really valued the user experience of ease of use. And so they would complain about different parts of the site, but as long as the site was fairly easy to use, they were fine with it. And then the very frequent users, the daily active users, wanted the site to be useful. They didn't care how easy it was to use, because they were so good at using these sites that they felt that they could overcome any difficulty with any of the tools. They could figure it out between themselves and their friends. And so these users reported quite different results. I thought that this was very interesting because it's starting to demonstrate that our users are generalizing across many applications, which means our users ease of use is no longer a primary user experience goal for many of our users, depending on the type of application that you're looking at. But certainly in social networking sites, I found this phenomena. And I think that it's an area of concern for people that are practicing out in the field. Because what happens if you get an application and you get no results from your testing? What should you do then? Does that mean that the application is perfect and the development team has succeeded and no further development needs to happen? Well, in some cases, that might be true. But in other cases, you may want to segment your users and look at the population more carefully.
Well, thanks for providing a preview of that, and I'm sure the attendees will be very interested in talking about it with you in person and having some discussions around that. Thanks for taking a few minutes to talk with me today, and we'll see you in Seattle in a couple of months.
Great, I look forward to it.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, thanks.